Oh, hello. Before we begin today's show, I'd like to provide a little public service announcement. Yes, action figures can be fun, but they can also be very dangerous. So next time that you're choosing your favorite action figure, make sure that it's not a deadly kryptonite-powered robot provided to you by LexCorp, and everything will be just fine. Thank you, and enjoy the program. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the show. So glad to see you once again. And if you're new here, thank you for joining us. This is the show that you're looking for, where we talk about old episodes of Superman, the animated series. I can't believe I'm calling them old episodes. 20 years ago, this show came up, and we're looking at them episode by episode from the perspective of an adult who grew up on the show. So if this sounds like something you might be interested in, then click subscribe down below. And while you're down there, hit the thumbs up button, because I'm sure you're going to like what you're about to see as we talk about action figures, which originally aired on September 20th, 1997.
This evening we spotlight John Corbin, also known as Metallo.
So this episode brings back the return of Metallo, or as one of our subscribers mentioned below when they were reading comic books, they thought it was Metallo, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, that seems like it. But this brings Metallo back after we last saw him in the Ways of the Flesh. And we saw him disappear into the bottom of the ocean, and this brings him back. But we'll talk all about that right after our 60-second Brainiac Bomb. Let's see if I can give you a rundown of the entire episode in 60 seconds or less. Here we go. This episode starts on the island of Reykjavik, where a little boy, Bobby, is playing with some action figures, and his sister, Sarita, comes over and wants to play with him. He goes, no, you can't play. This is for me. And so she goes off pounding. She climbs up this volcanic cliff, and it starts to erupt. But she's saved by this robot who doesn't remember who he is or where he came from or why he's there. And they say, we're going to call you Steel Man in honor of Man of Steel. And then their father is testing the volcanic island, and that's why they're there. And then the boy and girl see this a truck that has been stranded on the island for some reason, but it's going to explode. So they send Steel Man to go save him, and he does. And this gets in the newspapers, and Lois and Clark see this and go, ooh, I wonder if this is Metallo. And so Lois gets assignment from Perry to go to the island and look at this. Clark says, I'm going to show up as Superman, but I'm going to get my kryptonite suit first so that I don't get hurt. And he goes there. And then at this point, Metallo is starting to remember who he is. And he goes, listen, I'm from another... Dang it. I thought I had this one. He says he's from another planet, and he goes, I have a very important message for your leaders, but people are trying to stop me, so I need a disguise. They get their dad's overcoat, and they put it on him to get him off the island. And then Superman shows up and is fighting him, and one punch takes him out, and then he rips out the kryptonite, but then he is trapped in this lava, and he starts calling out, I am Metallo. I can't forget who I am. I am Metallo. I think there might be a few details. He captures Lois in there somewhere, too.
Let's just say things could get a whole lot hotter on the island of Reykjavik.
So it's exciting to see the return of Metallo. The Way of the Flesh is right now my number one favorite episode because it combines heart and it combines tragedy and it combines an unlikely villain and somebody that's very strong and a good adversary for Superman. And I don't know if this episode really holds up to that. The story takes a while to get going. We see this robot creature on this island. It's hard to tell. You know, I spent the first part of this episode going, why is this little boy and girl on this island? And where's their family? And why are they allowed to just say, hey, let's keep this robot? And then that's explained later on. I feel like they could have set that premise up pretty quickly and not taken a good third of the episode to set that up. I like the idea that Metallo doesn't remember things, but they show this flashback, which, by the way, the flashback that Metallo has as he gets these flashes of Superman and things is kind of cool how they do that. But I don't know if he knows who he is actually, but is just telling them he doesn't remember, or if he in fact does not remember. That's not real clear in the episode. But in either case, it's kind of neat that he doesn't remember if that is true and is trying to get them to help him out. But all of this kind of setup takes a long time to get set up. In fact, in my notes here, I just wrote, I'm bored. Watching all this kind of set, we know who Metallo is, and I feel like they could have just jumped right into the storyline with him. And I like that he's trying to get the kids on his side, but it's just a lot of setup. He's a cool villain. I really like him as a villain, but they don't utilize his strengths as a character as much in this episode.
That was cool. You saved my life. Who are you?
As it goes on, we do kind of get a flavor of how removed he is from his feelings and care for humanity, and the way that he just kind of disregards these kids and just doesn't care about them as much as they care about him. So that's kind of a neat element.
We can't just leave her here. She'll die.
So what? She deserves it.
And even I thought Malcolm McDowell, who's a fantastic actor, and in The Way of All Flesh, I mentioned how great of a fit for this character he was because he brought such depth to the character. In this episode, I felt like he didn't even talk that much. We kind of lost this whole aspect of him, of the reason he was cast in this role. So even that felt flat.
Yes, I came here to deliver an important message to the leaders of your world.
And once again, one of my recurring complaints of the show is Superman having suits to protect him from whatever the advantage that the villain has over him. So before he even goes to the island, before he even fights Metallo, he stops by Star Labs and goes,
I'm going on a little trip and thought I'd bring a change of clothes.
And he puts the suit on, shows up, and this is a perfect illustration of why this is not a clever device for them to use in the writing, that it just takes one punch from Superman and levels Metallo because he's got his suit. And then when Metallo gets back up, he is able to rip Superman's suit to take away the advantage the Superman had over the advantage that Metallo had, so it levels the playing field again, and now we get to see a battle. It's just a waste. Why have the suit involved in that at all? Have Superman not know it's Metallo, show up without the suit, and now have to figure out a way to fight him. And then he ends up ripping the kryptonite out, which I thought was what powered him. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But I thought that's what powered him, and throws it in the lava, which is what sends Metallo away. I hate to keep bringing this up, but I feel like the suit is kind of a weak device for the writing, and I think it's really well illustrated in this that they didn't need it. It was just a set Superman up in the suit, and then they quickly take the suit away from him, and now we're back where we started.
I'm not Superman.
I do have to say that the setting of this episode being on a volcanic island is kind of a neat setup. It gives another little layer to the story so that we've got this battle going on, Metallo trying to get off the island, trying to get back to the mainland to destroy Superman, and Superman shows up there, and we have these little kids in peril, and we've got their dad testing for the volcanic eruption of the island, so it adds another layer of danger and something else that Superman has to take care of and be distracted with as he's fighting Metallo and trying to protect the kids. So that kind of setting provided a nice little layer to that. However, when the volcano finally erupts and Superman uses the boulder to kind of carve out a path for the volcano lava, that was a stretch. So when it comes time to rank this episode, it is unfortunately not as good as the other Metallo episode, which falls at the number 1. This episode was just missing a lot of components that it needed. Metallo's a great villain, a great character. I don't think they need the Superman kryptonite suit in these episodes to have it be a solid episode, but I like him as a character, but I don't feel like they established that they built on the elements that made him a good character in this episode. That was confusing, but that's what I meant to say. So for all those reasons, this falls at the number 16 spot of my favorite episodes. It falls below The Last Son of Krypton because as much as that's just an origin story, there's just more dynamic to the episode than this one, which is not as good as Metallo's origin story. It's missing the depth of the story that Last Sight of Krypton has. But it does beat out Target because I don't know why they made that episode.
I am Metallo. I am Metallo.
So let me know in the comment section what you think was missing in this episode, or if I'm missing something that made this episode rank higher for you. Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed my take on the episode, or at least enjoyed this video, then please click the like, thumbs up button. If you want to see more episodes like this, then hit subscribe, click on the bell notification so that you don't miss an episode, because we have new episodes coming out every Tuesday and Thursday reviewing Superman. And next up, we have Double Dose, so you don't want to miss that. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Andy Knode. I'll see you soon.